Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Lisa.
So, Mark, are we just going to take over the screen at an appropriate time with each other's presentation?
We can, sure. Yep. Want to make sure yours is loaded just in case, Lisa. It's a good backup, right? Morning, Gavin.
Hey guys, you hear me okay?
Yes. Gavin and Lisa, I made you co-hosts as well, so you should be able to do a screen share, okay?
Sure. Thanks, mate.
All right, we'll get started in a few minutes.
Well, I must say I'm glad I was online and not having to get out in this cold weather,
Yes.
especially yesterday's cold.
It's been very cold, hasn't it?
A bit of a shock to the system.
All right, lots coming in. So excellent. Thanks for putting that in the chat, Gavin. Little interaction going on. It's excellent. Gavin is asking what part of Canada you're from. I know this is the Ontario NetSuite user group, but we really have no borders on this group, which is fantastic. So and you'll probably see us eventually more branding towards Canadian issues as well, and an official Canadian user group.
Are there really 19 people on this call?
Yep.
Okay.
19.
not many faces showing. Everybody hides behind the black screen, but that's okay.
Yeah, I only show my face just to at the beginning, but once you guys start presenting and everything, I'll probably just turn off.
But
I'm not sure if Darrell is on the meeting yet, but I think last count we had 66 registered. which is
yeah,
great. So I imagine a few more will drop in as we go. Mr. Hunter, good
Hello.
to see you.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Welcome to the group.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we'll
Ottawa.
get started in just a couple minutes here, guys.
So I will say, while you're listening to these presentations, take time to think about other topics that you would like to learn about, discuss, etc. Because one of the moments that we'll have during the agenda is just general conversations as to what you want to hear. So put your thinking hats on, please.
All right, it's almost 5 after. Let's get started. We'll start the meeting. Let me make sure that this is recording as well. It is. All right, great. Okay, let's get started. So welcome to our winter meeting. I'm Mark Tanner, co-chair of the Ontario NetSuite user group. On the screen, I thought I'd put a couple of QR codes. Sometimes that doesn't work, having two QR codes on one screen for you to actually shoot with your camera, but we have the ONSUG website, and I also put our LinkedIn link there as well. On the ONSUG website are recordings from all of these meetings. So any of the past meetings, if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you for attending this morning. You can go on our website and see all the recorded events. We've been a group now, Gavin, help me out, 6 or 7 years now, I believe, as a running membership. So of course, COVID, put us all remote. We did enjoy a couple of sessions that were in person after COVID in the last year. We will try and get back to in-person meetings as well on a quarterly basis. We also run or host a monthly session called a lunchbox series, where it's kind of an open mic. Just drop in, got an open Zoom session. You got some questions around NetSuite. You've got a few things to ask, a few things to share. And as a group, we try and help each other out in this NetSuite journey that we're all on. So some really good interaction on those meetings as well. So look for those on the calendar. We typically announce those. If you've signed up on our ONSUG website and signed up for emails and updates, then you will get notification through that channel, as well as our LinkedIn page too. All right, let's go through the agenda. So I'm just going to do a little welcome member introduction. We're going to talk about some ONSUG information, some announcements there. We're going to jump into inventory management. Gavin's going to kick us off with that. So I've got a save search refresher session. I've got a networking break where, if you need to take a break, a bio break, grab some tea, grab some coffee. That'll be a good time, but we do want to keep it interactive and maybe ask some questions. I do have a poll set up if I did it right in Zoom, hopefully. If not, we'll verbally do this and handle it in the chat. And then Lisa is going to do our financial reporting, and then to finish it off, an open discussion and get you guys out by noon today. Okay? So pretty packed agenda and some great information to be had. So our board right now, so again, I'm Mark, co-chair. Gavin is also our co-chair. We've got Lisa as treasurer. Brandon has recently left the group. He actually took a position at NetSuite. So we may see him on the other side and maybe presenting for some topics in the future, but he's taken a consultant job at NetSuite. And we've got Stephanie, Barb, Darcy, Paul, and Darrell as well, rounding out our board. So just a little bit about ONSUG is we're trying to create networking opportunities. We're trying to help others. We are a nonprofit. We do have sponsors at most of our meetings. This meeting is not sponsored. We try and run the group as low cost as possible. So we don't necessarily need sponsorship on all of our meetings, although some money coming in to pay for our website and some other tools that we're using is very helpful. We like to promote a friendly learning environment. Everybody is at different speed, different levels, different skill sets, and we're trying to offer something for everyone. So we may, like, say the Save Search thing today, it's probably going to start at some of the basics, may bore some of you. Some of you might be, hey, this is great. This is my first view at a Save Search. And then I'm going to maybe push towards that intermediate and advanced stuff towards the end of the session. So hopefully we all get something out of that. And that's what we try and do with all of our presentations is vary that beginner right through to expert kind of content. We are a voice for change, and Lisa is a big advocate on some of the enhancements that are in the system. We'll do call outs on some of those enhancements. We will ask you, please, please, please vote for some of these enhancements as well. That is the way that we can get some recognition of some of the unique needs maybe for the Canadian market addressed by NetSuite. So what we're trying to do is get a bigger voice for this group for change at NetSuite as well. And if we can't get those changes, then hey, as a group, let's solve this. Let's figure out how to solve this. Let's work forward. The company I'm now working with, we're not quite ready and set up, but we will be offering some app development for our Canadian market, which will offer some free apps and free bundles for this user group as well. So look for that in the future. So we try and do online and in-person meetings. Even if we are in person, we try and also have that remote. It's a little juggling act for us. And this is why we're actually remote in this session, because our last session, it was some technical difficulties on site. And unfortunately, we made the virtual people wait almost 45 minutes to the start of the meeting. So we've decided, let's keep it easy. Let's do a whole virtual meeting today. There's no cost for the membership. Yeah, really the only cost is your involvement. So join our sessions, speak up, ask questions. If you know the answer and others do not, speak up. Let's share those experiences. We can only grow with that knowledge that's really shared. Got a few announcements. So with Brandon leaving, and Brandon took care of some of our marketing aspects, making sure that NetSuite was communicating out our messages as well to the community. Maybe that's what you saw, is a message directly from NetSuite. So in the background, Brandon was doing that. So we are looking for an additional board member. We're really trying to fit a need there to grow the community. So we know, so I think we had 66 people registered today. We know how many is online today. Right now, we've got 22. How do we grow that? There's a lot more NetSuite users in just the GTA. And as we expand to across Canada, we need to find more of those NetSuite customers that we could be reaching out, we can be getting some help. So as a new board member, we really want to focus around that, is that community, our community and our membership growth. So if you're up for that challenge and would like to contribute, again, we're not for profit. We will not pay you. This is volunteer hours. We're just here to help and make sure that we grow as a group. We are demoing internally, just on our board members, a Google Chat. It's free. It's easy to sign up. Typically, everybody has a Google account these days, or a Gmail account. And we are probably going to be going onto that platform soon. So it is a live connected forum for all of us to just shoot out a question. Hey, you've got a NetSuite issue, you've researched it, you're not getting anywhere. Ask us. If you're looking for maybe a third party, you're trying to, look for the best, third party in a certain solution, ask the group. There's plenty of us that have lots of experience with a lot of different third parties, and we will not be shy in sharing the truth on those experiences. We are not there to sell. We are there to just help you grow. So some good and great honest feedback around that as well. I thought I'd throw on this because I did not get the email, and many of the board members did not get the email, but there is an event happening downtown Toronto, hosted by NetSuite on Tuesday, the 28th, on planning, budgeting with a customer meetup. So I put the QR code there. That is the registration link. So again, if you are interested in that area, go and attend. If you want to ask us a little bit about some of our experiences with planning and budgeting, if you are interested in looking down that, we can give you that feedback as well. But NetSuite does have a big push in this area to improve their subscriptions as well. A quick reminder, 25.1 release is coming soon. It's coming quicker for some of us. I saw in our ONSUG environment, we're, I think, early or mid-February. So that will mean you guys are coming too. I've seen a few of our clients at Kalpa. They're more around the March timeframe. So again, it's a big window of what those upgrades are. But the biggest thing there is you get your release preview. So as soon as you see that announcement on your dashboard on the new releases, that means you can go and turn on your release preview. And again, that's a copy of your environment right now. And it's essentially a free sandbox for a certain amount of time that you get to play with that. And that is probably one of the biggest benefits is getting that testing area and that testing ground. And of course, we do want to go into the release, the preview release, test some of our core features. What are we doing in NetSuite? Making sure that it does run on the release preview. And I'll knock on wood, in most cases and most upgrades, it's flawless, that we don't see a lot of change. We don't see things that kind of break, but there is that percentage of customers that do have an issue. So make sure you go in there and test that out. Right? And again, review the release notes, the sneak preview. A few of the things that they've called out is optimizing cache management, improving subscription management, and some warehouse and manufacturing excellence there as well. So I personally have not reviewed in detail on what some of those changes are and what they're coming, but again, go to the release notes and sneak preview and check it out for yourself, please. Okay. Does anyone else have announcements that they would like to make to the group, especially our board members? Anything to add that I have not covered? Because we're going to get right into our presentations and we'll be ahead of schedule.
Join the board. We're fun and it's good connections and it's good value. We'll talk every other week or every other month just to get planning for the meetings. But it's all about connections, right? You don't feel so alone from the point of view of frustrations as to things that don't work, and you just want to vent and find out how other people do it. So I like the board.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks. And if you haven't already, throw in the chat, where you're from. I'm seeing Georgetown, Ajax, Oakville, Mississauga, Ottawa. Excellent. Toronto, Woodstock, Mississauga, Toronto. So a little range there, GTA, and spreading to our limits of Ontario as well, all the way up in Ottawa. And I hope you are doing okay with cold in Ottawa. It's been a nasty one. But my daughter lives there, and the canal is open. That's what's important, right? We're getting outside and doing some stuff. All right. Gavin, you are up. Are you all set? You're ready to take over the share?
Yep.
Floor is
think.
yours.
That's good because I have to leave just before 10 o'clock, so this is perfect.
Excellent.
You can see my screen, right? Mark?
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
You're in
So,
slide mode, you're not in presentation mode, is what I'm seeing.
I know, that's fine.
Okay.
So quick, there you go, like that you mean?
Yeah.
Quick intro, so Gavin Davidson, I'm Director of IT at TrustCore. I worked at NetSuite for 12 years though before that. Left the NetSuite product team to do the implementation at TrustCore. And just to give you some perspective of what we do. So we're a material sciences company. We have 3 locations: Palmerston, Ontario, Calgary, and our head office is in Kitchener at Communitech. We basically make right now 3 products, but basically a wall and ceiling board, so a PVC alternative to drywall. The interlocks you can put in your garage, and then it's waterproof. You can put anywhere inside basically. But then there's also a slat wall product that you can use to organize, etc. But really, the reason I wanted to show this was because our products are pretty big. So we make our wall and ceiling board is 16 inches wide, half an inch high, 8 to 24 feet long, and we sell through distribution. So it's all in skids of 150. So the pack sizes are slightly different, but they're generally large pieces of inventory that we're dealing with, not nuts and bolts and that sort of thing. So lots of places you can go with talking about inventory management, but I thought I would start with the features that you might want to enable that are going to impact what you can do. You might not have access to this. Mark, can you watch the chat as well, see if there's any questions? I can't see it when I'm presenting. So if you don't have admin rights, then you wouldn't see this. This is basically under setup, company, enable features. And then depending on what features are turned on and off, it will impact how the system looks and acts. And so I think everything I'm talking about today is actually free. Not everything, but most things I'm talking about are free. I'll try and remember which ones are not. If I say free, I'm going to assume that you have advanced inventory management, because pretty much anyone who has inventory should have the advanced inventory management module. And so the first one in here is something that I was a little bit involved with at NetSuite, advanced item location configuration. I'll show you what that does in a second. And so it was built by NetSuite because there was some performance issues if you had lots of items and lots of locations. So before advanced item location configuration, there was basically a table that had a combination of every item and location that had ever existed in the system. And so every time you did something like enter a sales order or enter a work order, everything would go to that one item location record and to look for availability of inventory. So we added this advanced item location configuration because on the item record, basically if you go onto the purchasing inventory tab, before there was basically the only way to edit all of these values was going along this long list. And as they added more values, it became unwieldy to go in and get all those values. So when you turn on advanced item location configuration, you can, that it goes and creates a record for every location where the inventory is kept. And then you can do things like add filters, so you have different views with different information that's showing. But then it also means you can go into like a form view to go and change things like inventory count, classifications, your planning information, and that sort of thing. So So when you turn that on, this is what you get. The only downside of it is that sometimes not all of the fields are available for mass update. So then you have to go and do like a CSV upload to go and update them. But the benefits far outweigh any issues that it might cause. So if you're not using that, I would highly encourage you to go and test it out. Multi-location inventory, I think we assume everybody has that these days. Advanced bill of material, you probably have that. It basically means you can have multiple bills of material if you're on your manufactured items, your assembly items. And when you turn it on, it will look like this. So you can create, it actually creates an entirely separate record for the bill of materials. So you can have multiple BOMs, you can have different defaults by location, that sort of thing. And then the master default is the one that's used for planning. So there's a few different options there as well. And there's effectivity dates. So you can do have revisions and have different BOMs come into effect. So you should probably be using that as well. Then one of my other favorites is inventory status, which lets you put a status on your inventory. So this actually, we use this, everything we do is lot tracked. And so if a skid is under, so one skid is one lot number. And so we can put a lot number on hold if there's a quality issue, and then on hold will actually stop you from being able to ship it. So it gives you some extra control. There is an extra step. Just that it shows up in the same place as you would go and select the bin in any transaction. So right beside the bin, there'll be a status, and it will default to good or whatever the default status is. But then you can change it, etc. as well. And then probably my favorite one, and I'm going to show you more about this later, is supply allocation. So before supply allocation or without supply allocation, NetSuite will only work with actual inventory. So if you're entering a sales order, it would only commit the actual inventory that you have. If you're a manufacturer like us, or if you buy products, so you have products coming in from suppliers, then supply allocation will basically then go and allocate future inventory to your sales order and also to your work orders too. So we use this extensively because right now we can't keep up with demand. So we're running both of our plants 24/7. And so there's only so much inventory that we can keep because of the size of the product, and we can only make it so fast. But then what it does is it will then go and allocate from the work orders that we have in place, and then we use that to go and tell us a couple of different things. Actually, I'm going to show you what we use it for now. And so we use this in a few different ways. One of the ways is, so we have something, we schedule our shipments, and so the way our business works is we have customers place orders, and then they'll tell us when they want different lines to be shipped. So they might have 5 orders with us, and they might call up and say we want this line this day, or lines from these 4 different orders on this one shipment. And so we use the scheduled ship date column that we added, which is a custom field, of course. So then we use that. And then we go and I built this search that basically says, it looks at the order line. It shows the order quantity, the balance, the committed quantity, allocated quantity, and then I did a little action. And so the idea behind this screen is that, so this shows everything scheduled to ship for the next 30 days. We have a version that goes up to 90 days out. And so you can then go in here. And so the idea is that the shipments that are closest to us should all be fully committed because we should have inventory, or this is why we're having issues right now. So we have 1,400 ordered. We have only 100 committed. And so there's 1,300 uncommitted. So if you go and click on the 100, the nice thing about this is it shows you that it's committing inventory. If I can find one where, there we go. So one that's fully allocated, it means we don't have inventory, but we have 450 coming from somewhere. And so it shows you the work order is coming from. So the good thing about this is that if I go and look at the work order, the thing I like best about this is the visibility. So if I go and look at the work order, it will tell us on the work order. So here's my quantity that I'm making, how many I've made so far. Here's my 1500 of what I've made is allocated. If I click on that, it will show me the sales order it's going to. And then if I go to the sales order, it will actually go and show me where the allocation is coming from too. So our sales operations team, our sales orders come in through integration from Salesforce. And so our sales ops team can basically go in here and you can see, so here's my 1610. If I go and scroll across to the right and look at the allocated quantity, it will show me if it's coming from inventory or whatever work order it's coming from. So they have complete visibility of where it's coming from, if it's coming from inventory for work order, etc. And the best thing with this is you don't have to do anything. You configure this the way you want it to work, and then every time you save you edit a sales order or a work order, it will reallocate. And then we also have it now running on a 1 hour schedule, where it goes through and it reallocates everything again based on the dates. So we had to do some. The system all works off this supplier required by date, whereas we work off a combination of this or some other dates. So we basically just added a script that updates the supplier this date based on whatever other date fields are. But then it keeps us. It means that we know exactly where we are in terms of supply for our product. So basic idea is that if it's white, it's good. If it's this dark orange color, it means we don't have enough and we don't have enough allocated, so we got to make some more. And then if it's yellow, it's we don't have enough, but we're already making some, or we already have POs to buy it, so we should be okay as long as we expedite it. So that's basically the way the supply allocation works. Demand planning, I just wanted to mention briefly. So this will go and we started to play with it a little bit. I'm trying to get away from working with forecasts at all. But this will go through and look at your historical demand and tell you what it thinks the future demand is going to be based on that. And so there's a few issues with it, but generally it will work. But if it doesn't work the way you want, by enabling this, you can import your demand plans. So if you do your planning in Excel, that gives you a place to go and put the information. MRP also is free, I believe, for everyone who has advanced inventory. We have MRP running. We don't really use it the way that it's meant to be used, because I'll show you why. We don't really use it the way it's meant to be used because the users don't like the UI of the planning workbench, basically. And so to get to it, you have to go under transactions, supply planning, and then you go to your supply planning log, I think it is. No, I forget what it is. This is why they don't like it. So what I did was I actually created a saved search on my desktop, so it goes and shows me the last run. So one of the things that they don't like is that every time you run MRP, it creates a unique link to take you to that version of MRP. So you can't just put a static link on your dashboard, because every time it runs, it creates a new one, and so the old one expires. And so the way to go and get it is to go and to click on success. And then that will take you into the planning workbench, which I personally like. The problem is that when you do, NetSuite's big on this whole design thinking methodology where they design screens based on the way it should work, which is fine, except it looks unlike any other screen in NetSuite. So the users find that this looks a little confusing. But basically the idea here is you can go in and you can say, this is going to show you every item that's been processed. And I can go in and I can say, show me anything with actual work orders, planned work orders, action POs, and then it'll limit what's on the screen here. And then you can go down, you can see action items, exceptions, supply orders, demand orders. You can go in and you can look at that same item I was looking at, and it will just go limit that to the screen here. You can then show the all the items that go into it, and you can click on this and get a time phase view with daily, weekly, or monthly buckets. And then you can also get a graph view as well to show you where you are as well. So there's lots of great information in there. The users just find it a little confusing. So, for example, to go and look at the planned orders, you have to go and click on supply, and then it shows you your planned orders here. And then if you want to go and release one, you have to go and do this. I'm not going to do it, and release. And then you have to go into a separate screen to go and actually release the orders. So it adds another step into the process as well. So while overall it works pretty well for being free, it works really well. It does take a little bit of manipulating to get it to work, but some of the UI elements that come with it, people, our users have found it to be a little confusing. So we'll keep on working on it. So the way we use it right now basically is I run a saved search. And so I gave them saved searches that shows them a list of the planned orders, the planned POs that the system's telling us that it thinks we should place. I have a search of the planned work orders that it thinks they should place, and a separate list of the planned transfer orders. So we transfer inventory every week, almost every day now, between plants because we don't make the same products in both plants all the time. And so they're basically meant to be using this as a double check to see compare what NetSuite's telling them to do to what their fancy spreadsheets are telling them to do. So that's MRP. Generally, I'm a big fan. It's a little clunky with some of the ways that they built some of the screens, but overall, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And it does do things like under supply planning, so you can create categories of items. You can group your items together into different types. You can have different workbench views that dictate how all the different filters you have predefined. So if you have your system, your screen, if you want your screen set up a certain way when you come into it, you can predefine all that. And then for us, we have these planning rule groups. And so, which covers transfer orders. And so this is where we basically tell it which items, so of different types, are either manufactured or purchased in different places. And so it basically transfers the demand from one location to the next. So we have a product called Dock Deck. That's like a PVC decking material, so that's only made in Calgary. And so I only have there's only a certain so if there's an order entered in Palmerston, then that demand is flowed through automatically to Calgary, so they know to make it and transfer it over. And then there's some trim products that we only make in Palmerston and vice versa. So it does all the transfer orders. So this replaced the other feature, which is DRP. which is probably going to go away at some point. So MRP plus the planning rule groups basically does a better job than just a distribution resource planning. Other things, and then I'll cover this. And then there's a few other things that are kind of interesting. We don't really use them that much, but I'll talk next about some of the suite apps that you can get. And supply chain control tower isn't technically a suite app, but this is an optional module or an optional feature that gives you a new screen or a different way of going looking at things. So those are generally high level. Some of the features I would think about when it comes to inventory management.
Gavin, what are some
Yeah.
of the things that you wished you'd known sooner? Like in hindsight, you would have done something differently had you appreciated it. Like, are there any gotchas that you'd like to share?
Our gotchas are more about how we choose to do things rather than I know what works and what doesn't work. So I for the most part, I hope I've done a good job of guiding us in the right direction. There are some, I mean, I mentioned there's some, so like the distribution requirement resource planning hasn't been maintained well for years, really. So MRP replaces that. And then we're using WMS. And we're using. Well, I'm going to talk about Smart Count in a minute. We're using Smart Count for cycle counts, but I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be around. To be honest, I think that they're working on enhancing the inventory count features of WMS. So we can talk about that more a little later. So yeah, it's not gotchas. I mean, there's things that I think I like the way that the system works. There's things that are harder to manage, like standard costing. The standard costing technically works. It's just a lot more difficult to maintain and update than the average
But
costing.
I mean, I think one of the classics is landed costs. Landed costs should be a lot easier than it is, and a lot of clients are forced to write their own solution to deal with it.
Yep.
I can speak from experience that if you have a PO that's wrong and someone receives it out the back, and then finance comes along and gets the bill, theoretically they need to go and edit the item receipt in order to tweak the costing to make it right, or otherwise if they carry on that way, it will dump to the P&L the difference. And it really wasn't a difference, it was just someone lazy on the purchase order not getting it right in the first place. So I find that a challenge as well as the landed cost. Cool, carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So I forget how to get to this. So let's go and have a look at the control tower dashboard. Oh, it is there. So this is so if you turn on the control tower dashboard, this basically goes and gives you some pre-configured information. And so there's only so much you can do that you can't, there's alerts, but you can't add to, it's like a reminder, but it's hard coded. You can't go and change it. Oh, look at this. We actually got some predicted risks. That's interesting. Last time I looked at this, it didn't work. So it creates some predicted risks based on your supply, on your purchasing history, your transfer order history, and your sales order history. And that it's meant to use some machine learning to generate this, but it's fairly basic if it is. And then also though, if you turn this on, one of the other things it does is on the item record, it adds this supply chain snapshot. And so this gives you like a time phase view of your inventory with a running total. So here's your inventory balance. Here's all of your supply. Here's all your demand, and it shows you the running total going down into the future. And then you can add, so there's a negative there, so you can actually add some conditional formatting to show you when you're going to be negative. So, and then you can set this up in a schedule. So this basically this runs at 6 a.m. every day. And then you can also go and put a horizon for future and past demand. So, big fan of having alternate ways to go and look at your information. So that's one of the more useful things that the control tower gives you. There's also the Item 360 dashboard. So let's talk about some Suite apps. So if you go and look at the Suite app site, there's a few different 360s that are available there. So the Item 360 is relatively new and getting better. And so this gives you by item, that'll give you some alerts. And let me, while this is loading, one of the other things I like about this actually is that it comes with an alert portlet. So if you go on my home dashboard, I have item alerts. So this is a portlet that they add, and so you can go and define what the criteria are for this. And then so I have this is our wall and ceiling board product, and then so it will show you it's counting up supply allocation alerts, supply planning alerts. So these are planning alerts through MRP, and then order delay alerts. And then you get to go and set the criteria telling you how many alerts is high, medium, and low. And then so the idea behind this was to have like a created list of items that you should go and look at. So not just have a dashboard, but how do you know which dashboard to go and look at? And so obviously I picked a good one. This is the one that we looked at. And so it has some general information here. You have inventory history information here. You have under some purchasing and manufacturing information. There's some analysis under sales. It doesn't seem to do much unless you go and pick a particular location. I think it is. I think it works better. So some of these I seem to have an issue with sometimes. So yeah, so there's a few things there. So there's another thing to go and look at. And then one of the other ones that's lesser known is Supply 360. So there's so again, these are all free. You can go and look at them in this Suite App Store. The easiest way to go and find them is just to go and search, is to go in the Suite App Store and search for 360. Because let me go and do it here. Unfortunately, they haven't given you this a way to see all of the NetSuite developed Suite apps, as far as I can tell, which is kind of annoying. But if you go in here and you search for 360, because they're keen on calling things 360 these days. So there's a supply 360, the benchmark 360, the item 360, cache 360, project 360, etc. So, but you can tell all the NetSuite ones are similarly designed. It'd just be nice if they gave you a place where you can see all the NetSuite ones in one place. So the supply 360 gives you an overview of work orders, work orders that have insufficient inventory on hand. Again, we're slammed right now, so we're basically, we make our own raw materials as well. So I think we're handling all this. It's just other information, components that don't have enough inventory on hand, assembly items that have insufficient components, and then you have show you by work order the actual items that are short, and then also the raw materials that are short, and what the other information is. So that's kind of a cool little tool as well. And then another one I want to talk about is the costed bill of materials, which is also a Suite app that you can find somewhere here. Cost accounting, yeah, costed bill of materials. And so basically you can go in there and pick your item, and it does do It does it by location as well, of course. Anyway, you go and pick your location and your bill of materials, and it will tell you. It will go and give you like a cost breakdown as well. So worth going and checking that out if you need to use that. So what else was I going to talk about? Those suite apps. So the other thing we've done is we are big on. Has anyone heard of a burst? So a burst is basically meant to be like a focused meeting on a topic, so Shopify apparently does this extensively. So you pick a problem you want to tackle, and you lock people in a room for 4 hours a day, 2 days, whatever, and then you try and solve that problem in that room on that day. And so one of the problems we were trying to tackle was visibility of inventory, because we're so busy right now trying to show the sales reps what materials are available and that sort of thing, and also try and give more visibility to manufacturing as to what they need to make, because it's changing daily right now. And so we came up with this, that we did an inventory burst, and so we came up with this saved search. And so basically what it does
Hi,
is it
sorry,
looks.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry about that. You call? Yeah, it's Jason. Sorry about
Okay. So basically what it does is it shows what we have in open supply. It shows what we have in open orders on hand, available quantity,
Correct.
committed quantity. And then what it's also showing though is it's showing the 30 days actual demand, 6 months sales. So we're basically looking at 6 months and 3 months actual sales, along with what we actually shipped. And then we're highlighting in red or orange. So red being work orders, where we don't have enough work orders for the demand, and we don't where we have enough but not, we might need to expedite it. So we've done some conditioning formatting. So if anyone's interested, I can share some of the details. We did some
Sorry,
pretty fancy formulas on this. So that's just another way, and this uses again some of the supply allocation information that wouldn't necessarily be available to us otherwise. So just other ways to go and see what might be available and not available. Smart count. Let's talk about inventory counts. So we generally like smart count. We have an issue with smart count because of the size of our product. And so in Calgary, our yard is about 4 football fields big, and everything is in a bin called main. And smart count was really built for if you go up to a bin that's like this big or however big, and you can look in the bin and you can say, yeah, there's 5 of that in the bin. When our bin is 3 or 4 football fields big, then it makes it difficult, and we don't always have all the product organized to be right beside each other. It might take somebody half an hour to walk around the yard and find all of that product. So we're working with it pretty well on raw materials. We have some organizing to do, reorganizing the system to be able to use it better for finished goods, but we can do that. But basically what it does is it goes through the handheld design, the handheld screen, and then it will tell you can go and set up what to go and count. It will tell the user what to go and count on that given day. They can do a spot count, which we started to do as well. So you can, if you think you're getting low on something, you can just go and do a spot count, and then it'll do that there. The counts then come into this screen. So we have our inventory analyst basically monitor the screen, and then it will show him the counts that he has to go and approve. You can auto approve counts if they're within a tolerance. The issue we've discovered with that though is that if you go and look at this item again, is that the fields on the item where you define what the tolerances are not exposed to even a saved search. They're meant for mass updating. So if I go and look at this item, here's my account field. Basically, it works off your classification and then your count interval. So you can go in, so you can update this, and you can update your next count date. And I think you can do these you can mass update these or do these by CSV import. But the tolerance screens where you can say if it's within X% or X quantity, then automatically approve it. These cannot be mass updated as far as I've found. So the only way to update those is under setup, under smart count preferences. There is an overall tolerance level that you can set. So if you want to do it by item, then you can't do it unless you go in and do it one by one. But other than that, we think it's quite promising. So we like the UI. We like that we already use WMS for shipping. So we like to go and use that at the same time. So I think that's pretty much it. It's 5 to 10. I have an errand to go. I have to go and do so.
Gavin, you
yeah.
might want to look at whether if you can see the field through SQL, we can update.
You can't. It's
Then
not.
You can't
it's
see
not.
it in SQL. Cheeky buggers.
No.
Make it hard.
So I'm going to go.
Okay.
Thank you, Gavin. You muted yourself or something there too, I think. Good luck. Thank you. I'm disappointed you're not going to stay for my save search demo, but that's okay. All right,
Any questions from anyone? Deathly silence.
Sorry, was there a question? No? Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay. All right. Okay, save search refresher. I've got about 30 minutes. There's so much to cover with save searches. We're not going to cover everything, but I hope to at least give you a little bit of a refresher, things that I do, some of the tips and tricks that I do as well with save searches. And let's start with, I'm going to do all this in a demo live in our ONSUG instance of NetSuite. I put a QR code on the screen for the NetSuite Field Finder. This is a Chrome extension. It can be used in Firefox and Edge as well. It is a fantastic way to find fields when you're doing a lot of save searches. So go ahead and install that in your instance. You'll see me using it here. So, and I can come back to that QR code after the session so that you guys can go and capture it and install it yourselves. Okay, so I've set up our ONSUG instance as we are a product and services company. I'm trying to do broad things here, not just with inventory. So the inventory, the items that we have are inventory items and service items for sale. Our customers that we've set up, we're selling to, at least for this demo, national and regional retailers, lots that you would recognize. The vendors that we've set up for some of the inventory that's supplied, like Trustcore, where Gavin is working, those items are a few of those fake items are set up in our ONSUG instance, as well as a lot of our services as well. And I used our ONSUG board member companies as the supplier of those as well. Okay, so just teeing up the environment to make sure that we're all cool with that. So I'm going to stop my sharing here. I'm going to stop this one. And let me bring the right screen over. Wrong one. Okay, hold on a second. All right, I'll bring this over. And I do use ChatGPT a lot. There are some major gateway issues happening right now with our friends over at Cloudflare. Again, some massive gateway issues. So if you are trying to use ChatGPT, it is down, which is too bad because I had that part of my demo, but we'll check it midway through. And I'm using the backup Copilot as well. So to show you a couple of demos. All right, so let's start with, I talked a little bit about the environment. We can talk about, let's see, our customers. How's the screen size for everyone? Can you guys read this? Should I blow it up a little bit? How's that? Okay, so customers, we've got lots, Best Buy, Canadian Tire, Costco, Home Depot, Home Hardware. You got to get the flavor of customers that we have. If we look at our vendors, these are the ONSUG board members primarily. So we've got Accelerate, Lisa's company, Darcy's company, CTM Media, Durrell, Fusion Health. Fuse Health is Stephanie, Go Sports was Brandon, and a few others as well, okay, on this list. Items. Okay, lots of items that we've set up. You can see some of these are service items. I'm actually not displaying service items on here. So let's go at it. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to customize the view. This is kind of where I start doing saved searches as well, because this is the easy way to start a saved search. So what I didn't have on this list was the item type. So let's add type. And you can see my Chrome extension makes it super easy to go and find fields. And I'll remove maybe a couple of these things here. Base price is fine. Oh, and there I've got subtype, so I can just drag that up before the subtype as well. And I'm going to name this a little bit differently. This is Mark Tanner's view. And there I've added service type. So I'm hoping a lot of you know how to do this and know how to like maybe add some new filters. Here I've got the type filter here as well. If I wanted to just see the inventory items, it's just going to show me inventory items that we have for sale here. And again, variety of products from our vendors. If I wanted to see the service items only, there are the service items that we have set up as well. And all of the base price in NetSuite is basically MSRP. It's like the same acronym, really. It's the base price for your customers. And then you can go off that. You can discount from base price as well, right? Or upwards as well if you switched your base price to more of a cost thing as well. But that's not recommended. So that was just a quick thing with items. My demo today, I wanted to more show saved searches. Saved searches with sales orders. So let's go to our transactions and enter sales orders. And let's start off with the list. This is a great starting point because it kicks you off. It lets you start creating a saved search without getting to the criteria and all of the details. It's kind of a mini easy way to go ahead and start it. So we can see here, save search. I'm on the default view right now. And what I'm seeing is document number, name, the PO, what the status is right now, tracking numbers if it's shipped, any memo field stuff, our currency, and the amount in foreign currency, and then the amount as well in native, whatever our subsidiary is. So Some of these fields I don't really need. I don't need the foreign currency and the amount. I know we sell everything in Canadian dollars, so I can remove that. I can change a few things. I can change, PO/check number doesn't really look very good when you say have a check number. It's a little thing. So let's go and customize this default view. And when I go and customize the view, so I've got two options. I've got results and I've got available filters. So if I look at the results, there's a bunch of things that I can change. So that print I don't need. So I click on these rows and I can just remove certain things like that I know isn't really relevant. Let's remove like the tracking numbers for now. Currency, that's okay. We know we're all in Canadian. Let's remove the foreign currency. Transaction units, posting, can remove some of that as well. So if the majority you're going to remove and you want to start it back up, you could actually just do a remove all and then start adding more. And they've got an add multiple here that you can pick and choose some of your fields to quickly add up to your results. In the filter area, there's maybe a few things. Employee doesn't really mean anything to me on this one. So I'm going to remove that one. And my unit of measure, I don't really care for this one either. Type is, I guess, sales order, as this is a transaction search on the sales order list. I'll leave that in for now. But maybe something that I would like to put on there is maybe sales rep. I'll add sales rep. And it automatically can check both of these boxes. I've also seen it uncheck both of these boxes. If this is not yes, it's not going to show in your fields. And then if this is yes, it's a multi-select. So it's going to show me a short list of all the sales reps that we have set up, and lets you pick multiple. So sometimes that takes a little bit of room in your filter area. So I'm going to just go ahead and remove that. I'm going to change this view to empty sales order view, and I'll just throw ONSUG on there so we know it's one of our demos. Okay, so always good to name it and name this search. Some of that best practice, put your initials in there because it's easy to go and find things and search for things, and you'll see it a bit later that if you just have your initials, then you can go and do a quick search and find all of kind of my saved searches that I've done. It's one way of sorting that in. Okay, so it automatically changed my view. You can see I've got a little bit of a difference here in some of the fields. Sales rep was added here, so I could see all assigned to Lisa and her customers, and it refreshes and there's all of her customers there as well. Right, so pretty basic. A few little things. I said I would update that PO/check number field. So here's the PO check number. I've got a custom label field here where I can just put in PO number instead, and it updates that. Maybe document number. Maybe I would rather like sales order number, something like that. Anyway, I think you get the drift with adding a few of these things. So if I just go and save, and you can see it's updated to the PO number and stuff as well. So fairly straightforward. It also keeps this filter as a little bit sticky. I've seen that not be sticky and sticky. So depending on settings and stuff, you may lose a little bit about that as well. Okay. All right. So maybe let's add a few more fields. So right now, I don't see any item information. This is just high level sales orders. It shows me my transaction, my customer and stuff. I'm actually going to remove this account, but it does have the amount. But maybe I would like to see what the item is. So I'll just type in item. Maybe I want to see what the quantity is. And maybe I do want to just see who the sales rep is. Again, I'm just starting to type these, so it just fills in. You can click your down arrow and go and find them on your list as well. that also works. Okay, so I've added a few of the fields, so this is great. Bit more information now. I've got my item quantity. Why is that not showing up? That's interesting. So on the sales order, so this is where we're getting into the what's called a main line, which is your header information, and then a line level. Some people call it line level, or it's not the main line, and that would be all of your items. So let's go back and see in our results here. So I added these. So if I want to get to more options and do more things and see more things, then I have this more options. And really, I would love that to just say, create a saved search, because essentially now it's given us all of the saved search options for this essentially list view that I started off with. So you can see a criteria has been added, highlighting. We still have the available filters and results, audience roles, email, audit trail, and execution log. So we have more options to do things. So let's go back, and I've got my item here added. Let's change the criteria here, and you can see it's already put in this main line is true. When I said that main line, that's your header information on the sales order, so it's not going to show you information at the item level. So we need to go and change that criteria. We could change it to either. I like specifying, the no, because then it shows you both at the same time as well. I'm going to set that to false, and then let's see how that changes my view now. So now I have all my items, I have my quantity. So I'm getting down to that line level, which is great. Now I may want to know, what type of items are these? Are these service items, or are they inventory items? Probably a good thing to know, to separate kind of our business. So we've got product sales that are going to be fulfilled, and then we've got these other services that somebody's going to have to go and do. So I'm going to go back to this edit, and I'm going to stay with this more options. So let it load. Okay. All right, and let's go to the results. So we want an item type. So, and we want to separate those out. So let's insert column here. And when we look at the original list, it starts off with just the fields. When you get down to, I'll just scroll through the list. I do have a cheat here related with this customization. Sorry, my system's a bit slow. Okay, so then it switches to account fields. If you know SQL or databases, this is essentially the way that you could make a join to the data. So the join that I would want to do is I want to know what the item type is. And I know that that is on the item record. So that would be all the item fields. So if I click on item fields, now I have a choice of all of the fields that are on the item record, even though this is a saved search for transactions. So it allows me to get deeper on it. So if I scroll down and look for type, I go ahead and add that. It adds a little semicolon or colon here as to item is the item record and the field is type. Okay, let's just try and run that and show you now. So essentially it's going out and looking at all of your items, and then on that item record, what type of item is it? So now I've got the service, inventory item, sales tax group. Why do I want to see that? So why is that showing up? So that is, it's called the tax line. So because I haven't I've just specified that my main line is off or no, it's going to respond with anything that is stored on those items. And even though on a sales order, if I open up one of these sales orders, I will not see what those sales tax groups are. It's kind of hidden on there, and it sums it up in the tax summary on the sales order. So there's a little trick to remove those. If I go back and into my more options, did I click it? And back to criteria. We've got what's called the tax line. I'm just going to go, oh, sorry.
Yeah, you want to do the same thing for shipping.
Oh, it did tax line. So no, I do not want to do the tax line. I don't know why that's showing up there. So Lisa chimed in and said, you want to do that with which line? The shipping line, Lisa?
Shipping line. I don't need to see freight. That's not important to me.
That's right. So, but if you don't want the shipping line on there, so if you had a shipping cost, it would show up as another line item on there. If you had true cost of goods as well, is the third line that you may want to turn off as well. Okay, because these are going to be separate line items in your search. So let's go ahead and save that and see how that changed. And now you can see it did not include any of those items as well, which is fantastic. Another way of doing it is I could filter on the criteria of the item type to just service and inventory items. So it's another way of doing it, but best practice is to ignore those lines all in general. Okay. All right, so this is looking pretty good so far. Okay, I'm gonna edit my search. And I keep going back and saying customize search and going back and forth there into, my more options. I could just open this as a saved search. So once I've got my global search here, and we're not going to go through all of the global search, things that you can do, but you can see that it does show up here as a search. I just put in my initials, and here's the ONSUG org. I'm going to open this in another window. And now I'm like just in my save search view now. And when I run it, it's just save search results. It's not going back and forth to the transaction list anymore. Okay. So there's a few other things that, that we would love to add to our results. So similar to this item type, we have our vendors as well. So what vendor would be supplied? Well, let's see if we've got that. So my only option is vendor category, vendor line fields, or vendor fields. So it's going to be one of these that I would love to see who that vendor is that supplies that particular product. That's one way of doing it. The better way of doing it would be actually going through item. And this is the fun part. Remember, I had to scroll down and find this item fields. But if I just hit related, it just picks up those. So it's a fast way of getting to that. So on the item, I know I have the vendor. There's a vendor name, maybe I'll put on. What else should I add? We've got sales rep. One thing that may be interesting to have. Now, sometimes you can see I've lost my extension. Sometimes it will not work, but if I go down here, I can find the fields. There's sales rep fields. And I could find out who the supervisor is for that salesperson. Maybe that would be good information to add. Yeah. I'm going to change around a few things. I'm going to put our amount down here after quantity. Change our item, and maybe I'll put the vendor right after the item as well. So very easy to just go and customize some of this. So a little bit different view. So now this is my save search result view. You can see my added columns. We've got a few supervisors. Yep. So I report to Gavin. I think that was the only one that I actually set up was me on Gavin. So it's gone out and it's grabbing more information about it. If we do have a vendor tied to a specific product as well, it's going to go ahead and list that as also. And it seems like in my data, I didn't update all of the vendor names for all of the products that we're offering, but for this demo, it's pretty good. Okay, so now we're getting towards a pretty good view of our sales orders, but what does it really like? Let's make this a little bit more meaty. Okay, so the beauty of saved searches is it gives us a few options. So right now it's automatically checked off the list view because that's where I initiated it from. It's a list and creating it, so it wants to use it as lists as well. Interesting that it did it as a dashboard view, but you know that may be unchecked or checked. So if you want to add this save search to your dashboard, you can go ahead and do it. Another great one is available for reminders. Huge value there for save searches. Let's go through a few things. We can do highlighting. Like we want to see, and Gavin kind of showed us some of that as well in his save searches, but I want to see all amounts greater than, you know, let's just say $10,000. What do we want to do with that? Let's add it. Let's set it. So what do we want to do with that? Do we want to add a little image? Got a little pop-up here so that we can see them a little bit. We can say it is on fire. You can change text color, text background, bold it, put a description in as well. Let's save and run that, and let's see how that looks. So we've got a few on fire sales orders. Fantastic. I guess some people could view on fire as being a bad thing as well, but in this one, it's good. This sales rep is on fire with the accounts. Okay, so let's edit this. If you wanted this list emailed on a schedule, we can do that as well. You can send it to certain recipients. Based on a schedule, you can customize the message that they get as well. Very easy to do and set up. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just know that you've got that as an option. Okay? All right, let's do a couple other fun things with this. So if I want to get to a dashboard, then wouldn't it be better, like this is too much information. Let's go back and see. It's too much information, too much detail. Maybe I've got 393 lines. What's important on a dashboard? I would probably want to see more of a summary. Right. So let's turn this into a summary. And if you want, like, okay, let's make this. This is the sales order view. ONSUG. We're going to leave that kind of as is as a saved search, but now we're going to make this sales order summary. And there is no like action like other things like make a copy. So the way you would make a copy is change the name like this, hit your little pull down and say save as. So it's left my original save search and now it's got a new one that's called summary. If I go up here and type in my MT, you can see now I have, you know, another one that's been added. So that's great. So now I can use the basics for this save search, but now let's make it more summing up some of the information. So where do we want it to sum? What would make most sense? Let's do the name. So name is customer. So let's group it. And actually, while we're at it, instead of name on there, let's actually say that it's a customer. What else do we want to group it by then? Maybe by the total amount. So our other option here is to sum it. Right? We could also sum our quantity. That's maybe a little bit important. We could group it by item type as well. So then we could see both of those item types. So let's do that. Let's group that. And up here, it's sorting by date, document number by default. That is kind of irrelevant for us now. Now let's sort it by maybe name. And let's turn this one off. I think you have to pick the top one. No. Just highlight it, word of it. Okay. Another way, I could do it by amount as well, so it's automatic, always sorting it by amount. You can do that, ascending, descending. Let's see what those changes are. Now I've got a summary by customer, by service, or service and inventory items. So both. I can see my sum of my quantity and sum of amount. So not bad. So now I remove this little guy here. Now I've got 46 rows. It's maybe more of a manageable report. If I wanted to go back and just see leases again, so it's even smaller. So it's more dedicated. This is leases, top counts type thing, and what those amounts are. And you'll notice a couple of things. Didn't I have highlighting on that? It's not highlighting anything. What was that number? 10,000? All of these are above 10,000. None of them are highlighted with the little on fire type thing. So, some little things to notice. This says sum of quantity, sum of amount. So let's tackle and clean up a couple of these things. Okay, going back to my results. Notice I've got a summary label here, and then I've got my custom label. So since I am summing up a few of these things, like this sum, I can name that as maybe total quantity. And I can call this total amount. Okay, so I've solved that one. What was the other thing I wanted to do was highlighting. In the highlighting, you have the highlight if and then highlight if summary. So it's still highlighting, but it's not showing me that. So if I drill down on the information, it would show me my highlights, but not on the top level. So let's add that on the top level. What's my summary type? How do I want to sum it? Well, what type is it? Is it a count or is it a sum? It's going to be sum. What field? It was amount. Say okay on that, and I'm greater than, and maybe this is like our deals and stuff. Let's increase this one at 20,000 since it's a summary. All right, so little things with NetSuite to know. See, it did blank there because I didn't click add before doing it. So sometimes that works, sometimes it does not work. Let me just quickly do this again, and I'll show you that. Okay, so if I just go and say set, then it doesn't set it. So, but if I do add and then set, now it's stuck. Okay, and let's maybe change our text color this time. We're going to do that in red. I'm picking all the opposite, right? And like red is good here, maybe not bad. Maybe I should pick green. But you can see now it's done the highlighting on our sums as well. And with a safe search summary, here are some hyperlinks. Like if I click on Costco Canada, now it will give me all of the transaction data. So everything that is not in the group and the sum is displayed here. So I still have all of the orders for under Costco Canada, and you'll notice I do have inventory items and service items. So it will include both. Okay. All right, so we're getting there. It's not a bad search. This is a little bit cumbersome to read though, isn't it? Like there's two lines. It'd be much better if maybe I just break out the service and the inventory items. Maybe I break those out instead. Okay, so how do I break those out into columns if all I have is, say, an inventory type group? So how does it know to group by the quantity and amount only for these ones here? So you can't do it just with the GUI here, okay? So what I'm gonna have to do is create a little formula for this. I create a formula that's gonna be numeric and come over to the formula field. And this is where some experimentation takes place, okay? So I want to check for the item, but not the item here. I want to see the item fields. I want to check to see when it is a certain item, right? There it is equal to, and let's call it the inventory item. So when it's that, then display, and this is where like these fields and stuff, it's fairly easy to use. I'll uncheck that. I want the amount, okay? And when it's not that, I want it to just be 0. And I have to say end. So this is called a case statement. You can use a little bit of help here and see a case statement, and it will add you all of this, which is a little bit tough to read if you're new to something like this. Okay? I'll give you a couple of pointers in a sec on this one. So this is summing up. I want this to be a full summary of when these are, because I want to show up. And this is inventory item sales. All right, let's throw that maybe even ahead of all of this, because that's really important for me. Okay, so inventory item sales. What I should have done was remove my type, because I don't really care about that anymore, right? So let's remove that. Type. All right. So now it is just given me the inventory item sales, which was 16,900. I still have my total amount. So obviously the difference between those two is going to be my service amount. But now it's more of a dedicated number there. So I could do the same thing for service, and then maybe even get rid of my total if I want, or I can keep my total. Let's go back to the results. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy this. You can't copy this whole row, unfortunately. I'm going to insert another formula numeric. I'm going to make this a sum. I'm going to paste that in, and right now we want to change that to service and call that service item sales. Let's run that. All right, so I've got all zeros, so I did something wrong there. Anybody know what I did wrong? Is it called a service item, or is it just called service? Or did I spell it wrong? Anyone?
I mean, that's half the problem with these formulas, is there's no sort of checking on them.
That's right. That's right, Lisa.
It's brutal.
Let's try that. So it needs to be that exact. So inventory item, and then it just is called service on this side. So if you add up these two, you get to your total now. Okay. All right, everybody follow me there. I know we're at time. There's one more thing that I wanted to quickly show you. And it's kind of cool if you've never done this before. So
Don't like new policy.
all right, so it would be good if I could put both of these amounts into one field and just show both amounts. Because if I want this on a dashboard, I don't necessarily need to have two columns and everybody's kind of looking at two columns. It's another way of doing that. So let's change this to another formula. I believe that's grouping. Okay, so this is where OpenAI comes in. Fantastic. Let me just try to see if I can log in. Because in order to do that and display it, it's a pretty complicated formula. And it's something that I don't do it every day, but I know it can be done. So how could I possibly, tackle that? Let's see if I can log in now. The login is up there. Ah. Looks like they fixed their problem. Okay. Good. All right, they haven't totally fixed their problems yet. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat. So I was doing this last night. I'm gonna edit a different. So in ChatGPT, you can ask it literally, like literally what I did is I have this saved search. I'm summing up my customer. I would like to have my inventory item and my service item sales in one field, and I would like it to display on two different lines. So it literally came back and gave me this formula here to display that. So coming up with this and trying to remember all the syntax and everything to do it, the chat just gave me it. It just gave me the answer. So I was able to almost copy and paste that directly into my search. So let me take that one and I'm going to copy it into here just so that I can show everyone what those results are. Okay, didn't like that. I don't know if that was because I think I know why. So when you're doing that, so when it fails like that, it actually removes your whole formula and everything that you did in that last view. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say it's HTML because I already know it's HTML. Instead of summing, I should have said maximum because it's already doing the summing portion of it. And all it's trying to do is just display what that total is. So I'm going to say what the maximum is. I didn't name that column. I should have probably named that column. But here is a different view now. And I said to it before in the chat, it just gave me the numbers. So I said, make it into a currency. I want dollar signs. So it updated my formula as well. So kind of neat that you can display many things. I know Lisa manages a customer with hundreds of subsidiaries. And she uses like a concat and something like this in a lot of her saved searches so that they can see all of the subsidiaries that maybe an item belongs to or an account belongs to or how, what the sum up is per subsidiary type thing. There's lots of different tips and tricks that you can do with something more advanced like this. Please experiment with something like that. Use ChatGPT, right? Like it came up with that formula. It wasn't great. The very first time, like it was missing, it was putting it both on one row. So then I had to say, no, I want it on two rows. And then it's like, oh, I want the amount to be in dollars. Then it comes back and it just tells me the next answer. I really wish I could have logged into ChatGPT to show you some of those. Very, very easy to do. So now that I have that summary, fantastic. Hey, that's Lisa's. Okay. Now that I have that summary, let's edit it. It can be on the dashboard. Let's actually put it on a dashboard. So I'm going to personalize. I'm going to add a custom search. I'm going to set this up. What is my search? I'm going to go find it, MT, summary. There it is. I can name it. I can do fancy things with it if I want. I'm just going to go and save it. And here's now it's on my dashboard. So other little things like notice the filter stayed on here, which is great. I can still, filter this to just Lisa's. It's only showing me, 4 or 5 rows on this. That is in the setup that you can change, drill down size. So if Lisa had more accounts, then it would show that. But I'm summarizing things. Pretty cool. Okay. Now, there's other things that I would personally do with the save search is like, let's go back to the save search. Maybe make,
Yeah. Mike, will you please post that formula in the chat?
yeah,
Thank you.
I can, yep. I just saved this one here for approval. Let's just do this one super quick. Here's my save search. It's not great for groups, but it will group by approval, essentially. And if I change this to like a status, sales order, and I can pick pending approval. You could pick other things, pending fulfillment, if you want it as well, or partial, or basically anything that you'd like. I'm going to switch this to reminders. Okay, so now I have all of the sales orders that are up for approval now in my search. Okay. I probably would rather do just to show individual, because you have to approve individual orders and stuff as well. Let's put our document number as a group. So then it will show all of the sales orders by customer as well. Just put that down there. Okay, so now it's like number of sales orders and stuff. It's kind of grouping it. Not bad. We've got a portlet here. If you do not have the reminders portlet on your dashboard, you can add it over here. I'm going to go and set that up. Since I checked that box, it should be available to me. T approval ONSUG. That was the new one that I created. I'm just going to say there. That is the total amount, not quantity. So I wanted more of a sum of how many orders do I have to approve. So I would have to change my save search a little bit and do more of an account. Let me just change it quick. I think we can do this really fast. This is the last thing that I'm showing you as well. Let's just take those off. Really what I want is to see the number of sales orders and what that count is here. Okay. And I could even take this group off here as well. Okay. Let's try that. We'll go back to our dashboard. I'll refresh it. Refresh it. Why is it still giving me too many? We're 96. I think it's still summing or something. I've done, oh, It didn't save all my changes there. I don't know why, but that's a little bit strange. Let me just remove some of these then instead. That's 196. Okay, that's what I wanted. Refresh that. So I have 196 orders that are for approval. You could create multiple save searches there if you have, service items or certain customers like national customers, regional customers, mom and pop type shops. If you have different processes there, you could set different approvals, and then this is essentially the list that you would want to go after to you would want to add another field here, maybe customer or something like that. So then you can drill down and get the list of sales orders that you need to approve. So, sorry, I did that one pretty quick. Other examples that you can do, like purchase orders that are required, that are outstanding, that need to be ordered for products. And we did all of those sales orders, which items for service need to be performed still for certain groups. So lots of different things and uses for save searches. We could go all day on save searches. I hope this has been at least enough of a refresher for you, that there's a few options, a couple of advanced stuff as well. Love the concatenate, love the cases as well in the formulas, and we can help you out with additional formulas. And when ChatGPT is up and running, it will also help you. Okay? All right, I'm going to switch. Okay, there's the QR code again. I can leave that up for a sec. And there is for the NetSuite field finder and how I go and find fields like super fast and super easy as well. Our next section then is take a bit of a break. If you need a bio break, refill your coffee or tea. Now is a safe time to do that. I'm going to kick off a couple of polls for those of you staying. And here we're going to ask a couple of things, poll questions, a couple of things maybe in the chat. Just keep it interactive until around 11 o'clock, and then Lisa's going to go into the financial reporting. Okay? All right. Now, let me see if I can figure out how to do the polls in Zoom. I've done that in Teams before. All right. Everybody seeing it?
I'm seeing it.
Okay, great. Okay,
Right,
so
but how do
you
you
just
answer it?
are you only seeing the results?
I don't know. It's making me scan it.
Oh, there's
Okay,
a
click
few
on-
things here. Yep. Some people are figuring it out. There's
Oh,
4
thank-
questions, 2 of 22.
Radio. I understand how to do it. You gotta get the QR code. Technology,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
I have to do it on the small phone.
I
Are
had
you
a quick
guys seeing
question.
my screen with the answers? The poll results or no?
No.
Okay. Must be just for me. You have a
Mark, I had
question?
a quick question on your chat GPT. So do you like literally type in NetSuite save search?
I do. That's how I started.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I started NetSuite save search. This is what I want. So, and I usually started off with kind of the business aspect of it. Like, I'm a company that has inventory items and service items. We sell to these customers. I would like a save search that summarizes the customer sales by inventory and service items. So that's kind of how I started it. And then because you start it that way, then you can just keep prompting it to improve it. And even change the subject a little bit. It's like, well, that summary is great. How would I do this next? Or how do I show a graphic in a field knowing that we have sales and we have a quota? And it figures it out. It figures out what your formula is and bases it, what that percentage is, and gives you the HTML code to display it as kind of like a metric, right? As a progression bar, which is fantastic. Like little things like that, and you throw that on a dashboard, that has instant impact.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
very
really,
cool.
really too bad I don't have ChatGPT up and running. But I did do it with Copilot as well. So here's my Copilot example and how I started it. So yeah, in NetSuite, I have a saved search. I would like to group by customer and sum up the inventory items, sales, and in another column, service item sales. So it gives me the whole rundown how to do it, including our summary, right? And saying some that and some this. And then I said, well, can I do sums using a formula? Because I wanted to do it as a formula instead, because I wanted 2 different columns. That was not a good result here initially. So then it came up with, oh, yeah, sure, we can do that. Here's your formula, inventory type. And notice it got service, not service item, like I typed it in. So it knows what it's doing. It's quite good. To improve that, then I said, can I concat the 2 sums into one field? So it gives all the whole thing again. Really, you just want this section. So it did it a different way with Copilot than it did with ChatGPT. So unfortunately, I didn't copy this one in just to see, but I could see in this code, there's no breaks, there's no carriage return, so it wasn't going to do it on both lines. So then I said, can I split it into 2 rows that can cat sums? It said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then it didn't even give me the concat option. Now it dropped it entirely, forgot about it. So then I said, what about the concat formula? You removed it. I'm trying to split the results into 2 fields. And it's like, oh, I see. And then it gives us it here, and it says that char 10 is a line break. I don't know if that would actually work, but I know HTML code in your, your square bracket there and put a BR, and it would work. So that's kind of how in my progression, and you can do this in minutes. But it gives you a really good solution. Like try Googling that, trying looking up in a forum, asking a buddy, finding an old saved search that you have that you did it somewhere. It's easier just to go back and ask it. It's to me, it's quite fantastic that way. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, no problem. Sorry, I had to show you the Copilot, but
That's okay.
But you know what? It's good to have options because there's always a leader out there, right? And what is the best? ChatGPT does seem to be the best. I tried it in Claude as well this morning. No go. It does not know NetSuite save searches at all. I didn't try. What's the other one? What's Google's Gemini? Did not try that. And then I just went to Copilot because my previous org, we use Copilot all the time. And it was pretty good. It's not too bad. I'm sure if I said it like, hey, give me the HTML for this, I don't want to do a char, it would probably figure that out too and just give me the answer. Okay. All right, some of the results. So let's, our overall NetSuite skill level, 19% beginner, 56 intermediate, 13 are experts, and 13% could run a session. Okay, awesome. Are you in the GTA area? 94% said yes, 6% said no. I'm just going to assume it could be that one person that's in Ottawa that's not in the GTA area today. What was my last one? Was an untitled question. I forgot to put the title. I can't remember what that was. Oh, would you attend in person? So sorry, because I didn't even ask that question. I guess that's a poor result. I guess you guys just picked one or two.
So what were
Let's
some of the
see.
topics in terms of number
Yeah.
one?
Let me see how I can display that. Here we go. Okay.
Count reconciliations, save search, AI. Oh, Gavin, you like AI.
AI, yes. Lisa, workflow, SQL, great. Customer item pricing, yeah, that's a really good one, Andrew. That's excellent. We need to do more on that. Planning and budgeting, okay, great. Just a reminder, NetSuite's doing that planning and budgeting in Toronto on Tuesday. If you need that QR code or the link, put it in the chat, and I can update that. Integrations, warehouse process, case management support, good one. Using reports. So Lisa will do a bit on reports here, more on the financial end of things, but that's really good. General tips and tricks, document for saved searches. Lisa, we did have a document for saved searches. I think it's on our ONSUG website still, guys.
Yeah, it's in the blog.
The blog area.
Yeah. So everyone's got access to this. So if you go to member resources, there's tips and tricks up the top. It's a winner. And then but then you can go to past meetings and look at topics as well. I should do one for SQL because I love SQL. I reckon SQL is better than Save Search, only from the point of view that there's fields that are not available on Save Searches that are available on SQL. And one of my clients is 400 companies and intercompanies hell, but it's the ability to show eliminate is not available on Save Search, but it is on a SQL. So that's really, really powerful to us.
This is fantastic, Lisa. Like AR aging, yep. Like default and NetSuite and the financial reporting, yes, you have a report, but it would be great to have it in a Save Search that, you know, is customizable in a better environment than reporting, right? In NetSuite. Plus do other things, right? Like add it to your reminders, right? How many are, what is your, aged AR, or how many are aged, and it's a reminder on the dashboard. This is the call list for an AR employee to go and call and contact the customer for payments. So a little idea like that goes a long way, right? This is fantastic, Lisa. So again, guys, this is on our ONSUG website, tips and tricks for Save Searches. And this is not just for us to post here. If you have some valuable information that you would love to share with others, we would happily put more information up here as well. If I scroll down, there's our past recordings as well. Okay, so going way, way back to 2020 when we first started doing, well, 2018 was our first one, but I don't think we had the recording on that one, unfortunately. Okay. All right, back to results. So document Save Searches, more Save Search tools. Yes, we could talk all day on Save Searches. So I would love to know specifically what you would love to learn about Save Searches and stuff in a specific area, so then we can tone. Save Searches should almost be an automatic agenda item for all of our meetings. I think we've suggested that on the board level. We just need to pick out certain topics. Like we always don't want to do the refresher. Let's jump into something entirely new. New features. I think this is a really good one where we could ask someone from NetSuite to come in and do the presentation on 2025. They will have their own stuff as well, but we could have have somebody in and specifically talk about some of the features in some areas. Absolutely, great idea. Integration discussion, good. Integrations like third party or building your own integrations. Yep, absolutely. We can. It's getting pretty advanced on the suite scripts stuff as well, but it would be a really good topic. Doing a virtual weekly open floor night. Anyone can come with their questions. I would love to do that. Weekly is it's hard. It's hard to organize, hard to keep it kind of going. If we had a good cadence and a good consistency like that, I'd happily do something like that. So, Ryan, that's a great idea. I think that is going to be something like our chat. So if we can start our Google chat, then that's kind of live. It's a live connection with all of us. It's a community. So we don't have to actually wait for a live session. We can just pop a question in and hopefully get some advice around whatever you're asking. So I love the idea. I struggle with monthly right now, just personally. It was just the volume of work that I have in the professional life, but yeah, totally open to options on that.
Well, I think the problem is LinkedIn, if you put a question on it, it gets lost in the noise because there's just too much traffic and we don't look at LinkedIn every day. And then if you look, the chat is in your face. So when it comes through, you can decide whether, oh, I know that quickly and I can answer it. So I prefer the chat because it's just like, oh, yeah. A lot of people also use Slack. If you have an account with Slack, there is the NetSuite Professionals. And if you are cheap and cheerful, you can only see the last 90 days of conversation. But if you have a proper account, you can go through the history and find some answers. The other fantastic source of information is because of NetSuite's expensive support, make sure you use the community page with Oracle under NetSuite community, because that is monitored by NetSuite support, because I think they're bored because they don't have enough work to do because no one will pay the premium support. So they respond quickly. It's always the usual response of a generic answer, and then finally they get around to giving you a real answer. But I highly recommend the Oracle support.
Awesome, Lisa. Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's lots of different avenues, right? And if we start the Google chat and we keep a chat question going and keep a trail within that question, I think a lot of the noise will be okay. If we keep answering as part of a new chat, a new message, it may get a bit tough to manage. And if someone does have another, we're looking for free platforms, not being nonprofit. If you do have an idea, we're open to it. But we've been using I know Lisa and I have been using the Google Chat and with a few others on the board, and it seems good. Seems really good. It's a good little tool. We'd love to open that up. Okay. All right. Any other comments, anybody, on the results there from the poll? Great ideas, everyone. We'll keep that, and we will take some action on that as the board plans our next steps. Okay, great. I will stop sharing, and Lisa, you are up. You are ready to go.
Apparently I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. I have lots to share about financial reports, and I'm more about tips that I've seen in my experience when you're writing reports. So my number one comment is if you don't get the chart of account design accurate, you're going to be forever having to customize reports. So first of all, everything should have some form of convention. It helps data entry. It helps you knowing what the reports are. You should also be using summary accounts. If you're not using summary accounts, you can still implement them. It is very easy to change numbers on the chart of accounts and make fixes after the fact if you need to get the convention happening. So I've just given you a little snapshot of like typical ways of some clients will do their chart of accounts. The second one is with that easy plan chart of accounts, it means things subtotal nicely within the default functionality of balance sheet and income statement. I will have to say the statement of cash flows has come a long way in the last 5 years. It used to be awful 5 years ago, but now it is actually a real statement of cash flow. It drives everything off the account type. But you can go and customize it and make it a very useful report. So I would highly recommend people check that out because many people still don't use it. I made the comment of the save searches for financials. I mean, I suspect some of us are still guilty of pulling down a TB, throwing it into Excel, doing some ifs and producing your own financials. But if you're doing that, you need to question yourself, why am I doing this and what's wrong with NetSuite, and take steps to fix it, because you defeated the whole purpose of being able to produce financials out of NetSuite. So we won't discuss that unless people have questions, and I can't see any of the questions. So one of the important things is when you're in any form of financial report is to remember that the total column can be changed. So you can total by class, department, segment, or any of your custom segments, or you can total by subsidiary as well. And it's amazing how people will use the financial report and all they think about is the date, but they don't realize they can simply change things at the bottom and add filters on the bottom. So I will show that in a bit. The other aspect is that when you go into a column layout, there is this ability at the top with the counting period to say, look, I want to filter the column by accounting period. So I don't have to go and put, I used to in my earlier day have 12 different columns being each one for each month, because I was getting very frustrated with it and I didn't appreciate that I could just hard code it to say view column by accounting period. And I proved it to myself that this works for the balance sheet. It used to be a bit shaky. And you've got to play around with the alternative periods range date along with the last fiscal year and say, I want to filter it by month. And that will get you a 12-month balance sheet easily. So that's something that people need to be aware of from there. The other concept that a lot of people don't appreciate is that you can go and put attributes on your customer, on your item codes, on your subsidiary, and use that attribute to filter any financial report. So as I indicated, I've worked with an account that has 400 companies, and it's insane. But their company types are very important to them. They have project companies that are building solar plant, and they have operational companies, which is the solar plant is actually making money. They want it, and their ownership structure is 6 levels deep. So you can't just naturally say a child of any particular sub, but you can say, if the company type, which is a custom field, is project, I will get all the numbers added up, right? And that's cool because it makes it quick for me to get the numbers, and people know whether they're interested in the project side of the business or the operational side. But again, you can do that on customers. You can say your customers are retail, wholesale, some form of attribute. You can do that on your item codes. If you wanted to, you can do that on your vendors. So it's pretty cool from that perspective. Again, the custom segments get a bad rap. And I think they get a bad rap just because they're a little bit of work. But once you've done the work, they can be quite useful, right? What I have recently discovered, which I will share my knowledge, is that if you make the custom segment mandatory on the sales order, that segment is populated throughout all the costing. So it's now updating the corresponding cost of sales with that segment information. And I find that quite powerful. So that's allowed this client to say, well, I need to know how much money I'm making by these regions. I'm assigning the region or what kind of program they're selling on the sales order, so I can know the profitability by that through the custom segment. So custom segments are good. They're just a little bit of heavy lifting to get them running the way you want them to run. One thing that I find doesn't get used a lot, mainly because if you go and look at a generic income statement out of NetSuite, it's everything that's about account type. Account type equals bank, account type equals income. There's no sort of sophistication on the out of the box financials. But the power in these financials is the idea that you can do and or and have expression to capture what you want. So what I've done here is said for this particular line, when the class name, which was one of my segments, is this account, then and it's either this account or that account, I'm off to the races. That's what I want. So the whole use of expressions is annoying from the point of view that it's trial and error. But once you get it working, it works. Now, the one thing I will say, the trouble with any custom report is if some delightful person comes and creates a new account called 4050, your income statement's no longer accurate because you haven't built it to be all inclusive. So I will often have a line on my financial statements where I'll say other income, account is not this, not this, not this, and then call it unassigned income or new income and try and alert myself that I have a problem with my custom report. So it is important to design your report to cover all scenarios so you can make it sure it balances. So then on how to prove that that custom report is accurate, because that's the number one problem. You write these beautiful reports and then you realize that the income statement doesn't actually tie to the balance sheet. And it's not easy, but the number one way I do it is I just go back to NetSuite and run the default income statement and throw it into Excel. And then I throw my custom report into Excel and I literally do a sum if on the standard income statement saying, do I have this amount in my custom report? And if I don't, and it doesn't equal, then I know it's that line or that account that's causing me a problem in the report. So it's really important to quickly identify why the report is not actually accurate anymore, because customization does allow you to do that. So then one thing, I've just been talking about the good old balance sheet, income statement and cash flow, but there are other financial reports. So NetSuite, if you just go to new report, you've got this metric ton of reports. And when you go into here, it typically opens up. Whoops. I'll show you the way. Yeah, I've got it out of sync. It typically opens up looking like this, where you play around with, do I want a summary report? Do I want a detail report, a matrix report, blah, blah, blah. But often you just got to play with this and come up with the report. Some will say that you should be considering workbooks and analytics. I'm still a little too traditional. I'm still happy with my financial reports, SQL and Sage Search. So I personally haven't got into workbooks, but I find these new transaction reports quite powerful. If I go back, one comment I will make is that you have this beautiful balance sheet report and it's your standard report, but the moment you drill down, you go, oh, I need the customer, I want the subsidiary, I want more information, and I want it every time. If that is the case, what you must do is build the drill down report, and when you run your main report on the additional options, you define what default drill down report you want, right? And if you do that, then every time you drill down on a line of your main report, it will give you all the extra information you said you've wanted. Now, often we're just lazy and we just keep on adding it, but we really should take the time to build that custom report for the drill down detail. And it would make our users happier because they don't have to do it because we've done the work for them. Another thing you want to consider on financial reports is use groups. So groups are really useful in terms of assigning reports out, so you don't do it at the individual name basis. So you could have a department being finance, but within that finance department, there's the executives versus the people that do the work, etc. So you may use the group to say, these are the individual names that I want to give out the report. So we have a group called auditors. So we assign the various BDO people to say, look, you can look at all the reports that we've given access to audit. All right. So it's quite useful as a way of managing access to the reports. The challenge with groups is assigning names to them, because you can't use dynamic groups pointing to the department. The way NetSuite views it is that you might as well just use department instead of a dynamic group. So as you know, you've got the good old balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow, but you can do all sorts of analysis on item sales, spending by vendor, etc. The number one oversight is that the purchase spending reports only looks at these sub-ledger transactions, vendor bill, vendor credit, and so on. So if you brought over data from another system and it's journals, well, you're going to need to change that and say include journals. If you allow journals to happen to track, allocate spending or whatever, you may want to change this filter. At one stage when I was doing this, the default spending report only looked at overheads. I'm pleased to say that it now doesn't care what account you code the expense to, it will tell you the spending of all these transactions. One caveat is this is spending at a non-consolidated level. So if you have multiple currencies, these reports do not use the consolidated exchange rates. So it will not tie to your consolidated, which is a little naff if you ask me, but there's not much I can do it. You just got to be aware of the fact that really any sort of sales or purchase reporting inside of NetSuite analysis, you want to do it on the companies that are the same currency, right? Like I've had a situation where someone ran January to March sales reporting, and then they ran January to April sales reporting, and it didn't tie to the consolidated financials. And it was because it wasn't using the average rate on all transactions because it uses the daily rate. So it's just something I've seen and making sure people are aware of that concept. If you subledger reporting can get a little challenging when people do journals, and everybody does a journal because it's the fastest thing to do. But the problem with the journal is journal has no such thing as a main line, right? All the subledger transactions, bills, invoices, etc., they have this distinct mainline functionality and no mainline, whereas journals don't. And because of that, you don't get the nice entity name in the same column as you do for AP and AR transactions. So first of all, discourage journals. You shouldn't do it, really, pain of death. It's a subledger. You should be doing an audit trail, issuing a credit note on the customer's record, and so forth. However, you're going to always do journals on intercompany because that's what life is about in NetSuite in the terms of moving stuff around. What I do to make my reports nice is I go and create a custom field that says exclude representing entities, i.e. I don't want to know about intercompany. And as you can see in this example, we have 5 different intercompany payables accounts and just one good old AP account and the employee payable. By me having this custom field, I'm only getting the subledger activity in my accounts payable and my employee payable, and I'm just getting a dedicated external payables report. So there are ways around getting the information, but number one, journals should not be done against external vendors or customers. It's just not good practice. And I say it over and over again. SQL, I love SQL. The SQL is amazing. It's actually changed a lot of things, especially when you're managing huge number of companies and high, not necessarily high volume, but huge number of companies. As I said, is eliminate is not available, and there's many other fields that are not available, and it's quite cool that you can get them in SQL. This guy I rave about, feel free to go and look up Tim Dietrich, who's very open in his knowledge and sharing his skills, and he has lots of blogs that will tell you more. Like his a lot of his clients are inventory of all things, and he does many examples on that. So the blog he has is really, really good. An example of why I use SQL, as you know, general ledger reports have an opening balance on P&L when it's the beginning of the year. NetSuite's solution to that was to encourage you to have closing out journals, which really wasn't a solution, but whatever. So I use SQL to get my general ledger extracts for the auditors, and I just give them that, and that makes them happy. The other thing that we've done personally on SQL is we've built a report that's called a cash extract that allows someone to run a report to say, show me all the transactions that impacted the bank, and then tell me what that was for, ignoring the subledger. I know you paid a bill, but what was the bill for? And it drills through the subledger and tells you the end spend. That's a very powerful report, and it's done through SQL because it allows you to say, well, what was my cash use? And unfortunately, some clients are getting very cash driven as opposed to financials gap kind of thing. So opening the floor to questions, and I see there was a couple, so I don't know if they're relevant. Yep, I can put the SQL link here. So I can go back to this. Can I copy? I have to come out of that, don't I? So I'm going to stop sharing because I want to. I want to. How do I get out of here? There. Thank you. So lots of questions, or one question. So I'll put the SQL link in. I can go and show you some of the things we've done in a particular one. This is the magic guy, Tim. We had him present once, and it was quite inspiring. So check him out. He's got a lot of knowledge on SQL, and he's very, very generous with his time. I know I talk quickly. Do you want me to show stuff that we've done in my instance, or do we want to open the floor and start asking some of these questions? And like, how do you? I know what I could do. Let me just show you this. When we do a journal and we end, yeah, no, but yeah, the trouble is, it shows in the AR register, but then when you run an age payables report, if you're trying to filter on only trade payables, it doesn't know that was, it just doesn't work. I've tried many, many times, but the AR register, I've not had any luck. And I'm going to do this one. Let me show you this one once I get this. So I'll show you this one. So this is Tim's little tool done by Tim Dietrich. I'm going to paste, not that one. I'm going to paste a save search in there. And I can make this a little bit more generic because there may no custom field, so you can actually have this. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Filth, not that chat, wrong chat. I don't know where you lot are. Okay. So what this is doing is basically going and getting various bits of information, and we have these things called inner joins, etc., where we try and find out who the outstanding check is. So in my instance, I have, I don't know, 150 bank accounts. So it gets very difficult to manage what checks are outstanding. So I have built, and there's no one-stop report in NetSuite to get my outstanding checks. I have to go and look at individual bank accounts, bank recs, to see what's outstanding. So the way this SQL works is it says if the transaction date is before September 1 and the clear date is after August 31st, or it's not cleared, that means I'm now getting all my outstanding checks in the system as of August 31st. Now, when I run SQL, I can come here and say return all rows. This is Tim's school, and I can leave it as a table or I can turn it into CSV. So if I hit run here, it sends this information delightfully over to NetSuite and it goes and hunts for it. So what's nice about this is it's telling me as of August 31st, I have 69 outstanding transactions. So I can happily just come into here. I go click, change it to CSV. I click here and then I go and do my usual thing of opening Excel. And then all I have to do is data, text to columns, delimited, comma, finished. But now I know exactly. So if I'm the good old accountant here, I'm sitting here going, wow, I just ran this report as of August 31st, and I still have transactions not cleared. So something is really, really, really wrong for something to be outstanding that old. So I could literally come in here and say, show me my blanks, and I can work with the team to say what is going on these bank accounts. Why are these amounts outstanding? It makes no sense. And narrow down my month-end processes of looking at it. So this is just one of many examples of SQL. Half the battle with SQL is getting all the joins and working out how to do that. So I'm just trying to find the chat. So can I? You can't do updates, but my delightful husband, who's a techie, has built a solution that you can do updates. So the most frustrating thing about you've done a whole heap of journals and you've realized something's wrong. Well, in order to fix that through CSV, you have to reload the whole thing again, and that gets a little annoying. So yeah, through the use of SQL, Delightful Accelerate does have a solution that allows us to do this, and we've used it a lot of times. If I go and just batch files, you don't want batch update. There we go. What's that one? So an example of what it allows us to do is we have this concept that we can say, for an internal ID of anything, I want to set a number on this field or an ID on this field. And we host a solution. And this is not meant to be a plug. I have enough business, but this is a fantastic tool that we haven't worked out how to wrap up and bundle, but it allows the users to have a lot more control over their life and get updates done quickly without having to do the technical lift of doing it. That can be a subject of another story, but yes, that's how I personally do updates. And it's only possible because of the SQL tool, because we run the SQL to say now go and update, etc. So it's pretty powerful. And we can do deletes to it. One thing I must say, and I'm going to say this because a lot of people don't know this, and I keep coming over it, but it is important to realize that when you're there are two things I'm going to show you here. First is look how long-winded my criteria are, mainly because I'm trying to deal with all these companies of finding it. But the concept is, remember, if you have a column that has a pencil, that has inline editing available, you can click, and I'm not going to do this because it's a production environment, but see how I clicked on the first cell and I clicked on the bottom and I get this little gray line around it? That now means I can hit the delete button and confirm I want it deleted. And it's a form of mass updates and deleting, right? So a lot of people sit here and go, oh, I've got to delete this and do it one at a time. You don't have to do this, right? It's very hard to follow, and it took me years to realize it could be done. So I'm going to save you the time for any newbies out there to make sure that you're aware you have to have the pencil. So if your standard list doesn't have anything with a pencil, go and customize it like we've shown you, add the memo, and then you'll be able to do that. Any other questions? Oh, we're chatty today, aren't we?
That was excellent, Lisa. Yeah, very good. And thank you for showing some of that SQL stuff too.
Yeah.
Always mean to get to it because I know it's pretty powerful and what you can do. Andrew has a question in the chat.
Well, Andrew, show me your search. How do you do it? But you do it through a transaction search. No, yes, I'm saying that what I'm saying, I suppose, is I just detest that when I come into here and I go banking, the only thing I've got is a reconciliation one at a time. Right? So I got annoyed with the system and I went and did it in SQL. But by me sharing that SQL, you can use the same logic on your save search. So it's not a problem. I just like SQL more. Any other questions? We're here to share knowledge, questions, etc.
No?
Is there anyone that can host physically and has a boardroom that can fit 40 people that would be willing to work with their people to see if we can rent the room from you? We're trying to find alternative spaces outside of Oracle's Mississauga office that won't always be available to us.
We would have a room, but we're located by Woodstock, so it's 2 hours from downtown Toronto, so it's probably out of the way.
Not for all of us. I'm in
Yeah.
Cambridge.
That's true.
Anyone else have some space? That was going to be one of our poll questions as well. And very good, Lisa, to ask.
Well, and if anyone wants to join the board or is interested, just direct message one of us, Mark, Gavin, or myself. Let us know of your interest.
Yep. I had one interested party message me today earlier, so
Great.
which is great. Great. Okay, great, Lisa. Let me share my screen again, just to keep it official and what we're on. So thanks again, Lisa. That was great. You have a great insight on the finance aspects, and I know when Gavin and I are stuck on something financial, we look to you. Just fantastic. You know, have some great answers or pointers for us. Again, thank you very much. All right, so 11:30 to 12, we've got open discussion. Just any questions, things you want to talk about. Lisa kind of kicked it off there with asking for space. So, you know, we typically have been using the Oracle NetSuite building in that space, and it's usually a fantastic space. Our last time it was a poor experience with the hardware setup. We may need to maybe just revisit that with them. It's no cost to us as well, which is fantastic. But again, putting it out to the membership, if you guys would love to host an event, you have some space, anywhere from like 20 to 30 people, and you have good internet, because we will be also hosting remote. We would love to do that at your site as well. Okay. Trying to keep our costs low, for sure. Don't want to rent other space.
There was a question on there. Yes, you can schedule reports to be sent. One of the limitations I find with NetSuite, and I came from using FRX, and I don't know if anyone knows of that from the old days of financial reporting, but it would be really nice if NetSuite came up with this concept of a tree that had a departmental heads, i.e. it's my month end, and I want this report to be run 10 times based on each of these departments, and here's the name of the email of that department head, and now go and run the report for finance and email it to Lisa, as opposed to having 10 different reports scheduled with all the different filters, etc.
They'll sell you NetSuite planning and budgeting to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like, give me it in the main product. Don't make me spend more money when I think this should be default functionality. Right? That's my 2 cents.
They're not working on the existing product right now.
That's clear. And I think that's one of the obvious things is we move data a lot between NetSuite instances, and the one thing you cannot move is financial reports in terms of it's just very difficult. You can't extract a financial report. You have to SQL, you have to write it. I'm not probably saying that right, but whatever.
Can you guys see my browser?
Yep.
ChatGPT did come up, so you can see, you know, I've done some of the searches here, and it tracks them all. Every time I do a ChatGPT search for a completely different topic, I will create a new search. So then it keeps track of some of the things that I've been working on. So this one was one thing I wanted to get to on the demo was do the say ship date and have a report. NetSuite saves search formula for ship date when it's within 30 days from now, or 60 days, or 45 days. NetSuite's in their saved searches, they have some pre-done metrics, but sometimes it's not what you're looking for. Like you're looking for like the next 30 days or within 30 days or something like that. You want it to be dynamic. So then it gave basically a SQL formula that I would pop in to say, when the ship date is between today and add 30 days to today, then respond with 1 or 0. And you put that into your criteria, and then you're basically saying, when this is equal to 1, show me the results. So it's and ChatGPT does a great job of explaining some of that stuff as well, which is also pretty fantastic. And it does say, add it to the criteria, formula numeric, make sure the condition is equal to 1, and then run it. So pretty easy with coming up with little things like this that I don't remember the syntax of adding days in SQL, but it just knows. Right? Here was the search formula for concatenating, and it does everything quite well. This was a fairly lengthy one, but it updated the formula based on what I was saying. And then it used this /n for a reason. I don't know why, but it wasn't showing up. But then I looked in the notes and it said, try replacing with BR. If you're using HTML, that may work. So I tried what it offered first with the /n, but then it's just switched off to the BR as well. So again, use AI as much as possible. I'm just on the free version as well. Pretty fantastic. There's new features going in every day as well. They've got a new thing called tasks that I'm going to explore with as well, because there's certain things that you just want it to do and treat the data like a task and just do it for me every single day, right? So if I just want to throw some, maybe it's a EDI 850 order and convert it into a language that I can speak, I can set that as a task, as rules, and then it just knows how to do that the way I want it presented, which is pretty fantastic, actually. So again, I can't speak enough about every session that I get on. I always talk about AI because it is a game changer. It's not always right. You got to validate it. You got to check it, but it leads you to a pretty good solution pretty quick. All right. Other open discussion, questions, anything? You guys are a quiet group. Not like the lunch crowd. The lunch crowd are usually pretty chatty. Bring their issues for us.
Were most people today interested in inventory, and is that why they came along, or were they more appealed to the safe searches and financials? I mean, it'll be interesting as to know how many people are heavy inventory users that came to the meeting versus just ordinary users.
That would be a good poll question, Lisa.
Yeah.
If you guys can pop that in the chat, like what mostly brought you here today, then that would be fantastic for us. All right, I got one vote. Save searches.
Yeah.
Not that it's a competition.
Yeah, safe searches is it takes a long time to get experience at safe searches, and you have to almost get to the point of, I want it to do this, and start Googling and chat GPing and just put it out there and try and use try and find the alternate. Like my substring formula, that I found that actually through a NSAR, like the account reconciliation solution that NetSuite does, and I noticed that they were doing something similar, and then I bent it to do what I wanted to do. And congratulations, Lou, 1 week into your implementation. When's go live?
May not have that plan yet. So
Well,
Lou, you've got the fire hose, right? Of information and lots of advice and where to go. Take your time, learn some stuff. Know that this group in our meetings, it's a safe spot to ask questions if things aren't going right or you need some gaps filled, we'd be happy to help out. Okay. Q3 to go live. Good. Excellent.
Loads of time. So design your chart of accounts really, really well. That's the #1 issue I see that's not done well. That's so important. Ginger, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I just know what your thing is. I would say that the report has to be define it as your last month, right? So in the I'll see if I can quickly show you what I mean. Yeah, that's where you want to be. You want to do something like this, mate. I believe you want to be able to do in this and say relative to today's date and then say last month. So then if you schedule the report to happen on the 15th of this month, it will always know that you're running last month. That's how my instinct of what I think you need to do. But let me know if it works. That's the problem with scheduling reporting, that you only find out by actually sending it out and see if it does what you want to do. But that's how I would do it. No, oh, you want a date range. That's tragic. And it's a detailed report, not a summary report. But is surely the date range is last quarter, or is it just spontaneous? It can't be spontaneous because you're scheduling it. I still think you could do in here, instead of last month, you do last quarter. Oh, last week. Man. Yeah, you are. Oh, next week. Last week. So the trouble is what is NetSuite delightful definition of last week? Is it Sunday to Sunday? You may not have a say in saying what that is. I don't know that answer. But that might work for you. Somewhat. Yeah, well then you're up the creek. I can't help you. You can't define it. So, but that comes around to resetting people's expectations in some respect.
Can you use a formula there in the report mode to define it?
Oh,
Same as
no.
what I was just showing as the ship date. It's flexible to come up with a formula.
Yes, you can do this. So financial reports suck from the point of view, the formula is so basic, add, different, etc. But if you do it as a saved search, absolutely you can come up with a customized date, because you just literally do, it will be -7 and we would have to work out the day. I'll think about that, but I think you might be able to do that. Email me and I'll research that for you out of interest. Yeah, you have to do a save search. You cannot do it on a financial report. That's not happening. Not a problem.
Andrew, did we answer or meet some expectations there in your inventory? From Gavin's session? Gavin is back on, so if you have a question around it, it's a good time.
Yeah, it was good. Our company, or one of my colleagues actually met with Gavin a number of months ago, and we reviewed it. So it was a good refresher.
Great. All right, there's another question for Gavin. Jane, do you want to go off mute or, okay, send an email? Okay. Oh, maybe that's for Lisa.
Well, no, it's probably Gavin. Again, inventory is huge. There's so much functionality to inventory. I want to
All right,
reply.
there you go, Gavin. In the chat.
I got an email about that. I need to have a look at it.
Some items, but I can only choose them. But you want to do an update to the item record to say,
Right.
then do it through CSV.
CSV or mass update if that field's exposed for the mass update.
Not enough, well, it's not, but it's an insert. Okay, so if I understand what you're saying. If I go over to this one. Let's share. So on my item record that takes forever to come up, we have loads of custom items. Like I have what product type it is, that's terribly named, what style, but I can do CSV update to any of these custom fields to update the information or tell it what it is. So even if I didn't have it, if this, like this is customer, so the example of this item is I have dedicated custom product versus generic product, and sometimes I will indicate, well, who is the customer? This is a drop-down list of my customers, and I could go and do a batch, a mass update through CSV import and set certain IDs to have this particular customer. So I don't think, I'm not sure why you say, okay, clearly. So what do you mean, mate?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. What I mean is, for example, you have this field here, customer, custom, right? So if this, can you open this setting, actually customize the item? Going to the customize and actually customize, yeah, the item field, yes. And then choose any field, customized one.
Yeah.
And then I want to apply this field only to certain, like select the individual items. Like on the lower right corner
Yeah,
there.
but why? Why do you only apply it? Do you want to
Yeah,
make?
because some attribute, like we have product with boxes and with other attributes only apply to certain inventory items, but I don't want those attributes to show for other inventory items. So there's apply to. Usually we chose all the inventory items or the service item, but I want to choose certain, yes. And in there, when you go to the list, and I can only choose one by one. I want to choose like a bunch of them all together. That's my question. I cannot do that. I can only click one by one.
You can do a workflow.
How do you do that?
Lisa, you want to maybe take a stab, or you do a
want to do
workflow to show the visibility, right?
what on create?
As long as there's criteria of what, if there's a rule of what items would be selected, then you can set that as your criteria on a workflow to make that field visible or hide it.
Right. Right. So what Mark is saying is, instead of using this functionality, is on the actual form itself, you either have a form that says only show this field if this attribute is met, and the workflow is on opening of the record. Is that what you're trying to say, Mark?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Can you show me example?
Personally, no. Do I have anyone with that requirement? No, I mean, the trouble with workflows is unless you do them all the time, you're terrible at them. So no, the answer is I don't have it, but if Mark can whip it up, I'd be happy for him.
Yeah, Mark, can you show me what you mean?
Yeah. Okay, so I have inventory items like, inventory items and service items in this area. So I can make a rule on something. Let me just pull up one of the items here. We can show you. So let's say a service item will never have a UPC code, as an example, okay? An example field. So go to customization and workflows. I'm going to create a new workflow. I'll just do it in another tab. I am famous for having many, many tabs open, as Mr. Hunter will attest to from working with Kenny for the last 5, 6, 7 years, Kenny.
100%.
All right, so I'm going to pick my record type. It's the item. I can pick which item groups. So I'm going to say it is the inventory part, as well as the service item. So I'm just holding down my control key. So both are selected. I'm going to just run that. So I'll just put it as released. Heading field. Okay, I'm going to say that this is on view update. I could say it in create as well. Doesn't really matter for this. I can make it run in certain instances. So let's say that only run this when the type is
Yeah, it will be item because it has
Yes.
everything. Right?
figures. Okay, pick service. Okay, so this workflow will only run when we're viewing or editing a service item. Okay, so far so good. We're gonna save that. You can do triggers and stuff, other things, context in the UI, and a little bit more advanced workflow stuff, but this will just help you out. So I click on this status. I'm going to add a new action. And you have a lot of different options here. Lots to kind of go through, like from adding buttons and creating go into records and removing buttons. And then there's a display label, display type, whether you want it mandatory or not. Let's go to display label. I say what field. So what did we pick? The UPC code field? Oh, I picked label. Sorry. That's actually changing it. Hold on. Display type. Okay, that's better. So UPC code and my display type can be hidden, inline, which is kind of hidden, but still show it, and it's not editable. You can disable it, which is still visible, but not shown. Can't really remember. There's a difference between these two. Like if it has a value, then it shows it inline. If it doesn't have a value, it's like hidden. It's a little bit weird. And then normal is just normal. And right now it's in a normal state. So I'm just going to hide it. I'm going to say, okay. There's a few other things that I should have maybe changed on that. So then it adds it here and it says, do that before the record load. So it depends on the way that NetSuite interprets it. That is up here. What's your trigger? So you could do it after a field edit on another field. You could do it on just entry. You can do it, before record load.
Yeah, before record load is fine.
A whole slew of options, right? And then you can also say conditions on this. So you could have a bigger save search, like do all of these things because you're a service item, except if your item type is maybe something different within that service item, like a different category or different criteria, you can make an exception on it. But I'll just leave that as the default. I'll just say save it. Okay, now I'll go back to my service for sale item. I'm going to refresh it. Let's watch this field. Hopefully I did it all right. Gone. It's gone.
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that this was applying to the service type, but what I want to do is I want to apply to certain items inside a type, inside of, for example, the inventory.
So you're going to have a custom field assigned to those items in order to be able to find them. Like there's got to be some field on that item that tells you this is the group of items I'm managing. If you don't have any way of saying the rule of where
What
field,
the item
Yeah, I
is,
just
why
want
is
to
it
be able
different
to,
from others? Yeah,
I just want to be able to choose multiple items, so not just one type of item. Like for example, they have all this item listed, right? I want to just apply whatever the workflow or the rules to just apply to those items.
okay, but you
Like
are
that one.
multiple selecting items based on
yeah.
what? Based on what? What, you have to have some sort of a thought process. that one
Sometimes
item
they
is different than
maybe
another.
like a wholesale items or OEM
Right.
items, something like
Right.
that, with the div classes.
Exactly. So you can put in like the condition, any of the fields on your item here. So say you have a class,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And I don't have class set up in I
Mhm.
think this environment, there's no matching classes, but you could
Mhm.
use that and just select so that it groups all of those items. And
Mhm.
that's how it will act. Okay, it's going to hide it when this happens. If your class is wholesale item, if it's retail item, whatever your rule is, because you must
Mhm.
have a rule. You're going
Mhm.
through a multi-selecting,
Mhm.
each one. So somebody has to know the difference between
Mhm.
this item and the next item. And if you don't
Mhm.
have that in NetSuite as the rule, like class or category or department or any of those, then you should create it. And that's what Lisa's saying, add a custom
Mhm.
field that
Mhm.
defines those items differently. Okay,
Mhm.
but that's how the
Okay.
workflow would work. So
Mhm.
you just have to pick
Yeah,
what makes
I'll
it
try that.
different
Yeah.
and put it in. Okay.
an
So I hope
example that
that
I
helps.
would do is I have a custom field called delete me. So I've realized I've done things wrong. I have
Mhm.
a custom field delete me. I download all my items. I work out which ones I need to be deleted. I find those IDs. I do a CSV update to say, yes, these are the items I want deleted. And now
Mhm.
I have a rule that I can go and do a workflow or a mass update saying where field is true for delete me, delete me. So
Okay.
you have to have a custom field to be able to aggregate it.
Okay.
You've done the work somewhere in Excel, so it's a CSV update against something.
Yeah, I think it may work just with the workflow because we already have the class, category, those kinds of things.
Perfect.
Great.
So,
Thank
and
you so
we'll
much,
post
George.
this recording, so you can just go to the end if you want to just
Okay.
see how I did that workflow again. And
Yep.
hopefully
Great.
that will be enough to get you through. Okay.
Great.
And if
Thank you so
not,
much.
join our next lunch call and we'll be happy to dive into it a little bit further for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you so
Again,
much.
we're
Okay,
at
bye.
12 o'clock. I'm sure that we've got other meetings to get to or an important lunch, but thank you all for attending today. I thought that was really good. Keep it interactive. Love the questions. And hopefully you got some great value. Thank you for your poll results as well. The board will review that and make some decisions on what our next topics are. Okay. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Bye now.